Liverpool 3, Benfica 3. The Reds booked their place in the Champions League semi-final to take on Unai Emery's Villarreal. I am joined by Mr. Steve Bland and Mr. Chris Stonadge for a match reaction. Before I ask lads their opinion, just a shout out to our sponsors today. We'll be brought to you with thanks to our friends at Surfshark. You can get 83% off and 3 months additional free from the premier supplier of VPN products out there, Surfshark. They have uncrackable encryption, the most secure VPN protocols. One subscription runs across all your devices. The link below will bring you straight there. Thank you to Surfshark. Right, Mr. Bland, how do we find that one? Fair to say it wasn't vintage, dude, but
it was a bit of a funny one, wasn't it? I've just seen some quotes from Diogo Jota saying they relaxed a bit when it went to 3-1, and I think that's probably what happened, isn't it? They took the foot off the pedal, understandably, really, because it was sort of job done, wasn't it? Even when it went to 3-3, I never really felt like there was a problem. It was just about, seeing it out, and they had the right people on by the end, didn't they? In Fabinho and Thiago to see it out. But yeah, probably a bit more nerve-wracking. A bit of drama, but not half the drama that was on the other channel, where was City Madrid, which was absolutely mad towards the end. But yeah, job done. These things are about getting the job done, aren't they? And that's about as much as you can say about that game.
It was always going to be tricky, Chris, wasn't it? Because how do you approach a game like this? You've got a 2-goal lead from the first leg. You want to be professional, but you also want to make some changes because of just the amount of fixtures that we have coming up. So I wasn't surprised with the 11 Klopp put out. I thought that would get us over the line, which is all we really needed to do, and just about got there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you look at all of the games we have this April, and especially the prospective games coming ahead, it was the one game that we could potentially afford to rest players for, and we did that. And it really doesn't surprise me. I have no issue with that result. The problem was not the performance tonight, because we know these players have been performing out of their skins for so long. It was all about getting through. That's all we cared about. And we did that. And I think there were some great moments. There's some sloppy moments as well. I think the personnel in the back four didn't suit the high line as much as the usual personnel do, and that's where we saw the issues. But apart from that, I don't think there's anything to worry about, and there's only things to be happy about because we're through to the Champions League semi-final. And doesn't that? It feels normal to be saying that now, and that's how grateful we need to be.
It's mad. Like I said that at the end of the stream, like we are in another Champions League semi-final. Let that sink in of a season that we're in everything. I mean. One question I do have, Steve, is did any of those players tonight play themselves into Jurgen Klopp's thinking for the semi-final against City?
I don't think Matip's going to play at the weekend. I don't think he'd play him 3 times in a week. So I think Konate is going to play at centre-back at the weekend. I really worry about this high line business. Michael Owen made a really good point in the studio before. I think he'd spoken to Jurgen Klopp after the City game and all about this high line, and he said, it only works when you put pressure on the ball, and too often there wasn't enough pressure on the ball, and the ball over the top or down the sides is just way too easy. And I think Joe Gomez was the one playing them on a couple of times, and you don't really get that with Trent either. He's obviously, he's generally a little bit higher up. I think maybe Katie you could argue. I really want to see Luis Diaz start at the weekend. I don't think we need to hold him back any further. I think he's just phenomenal, and he's not far off first name on the team sheet for me. It's quite telling, actually, wasn't it? The way, I'm sure Henderson going off, I'd be really surprised if he didn't start. Fabinho, Thiago.
Was that the shortest ever captain's appearance from James Milner?
I think it was, wasn't it? I think it was. But yeah, I'd be surprised, as I said to you on Sunday. I'd be surprised if we saw more than maybe a couple of changes from the team from last weekend to this weekend. But yeah, I do think 3 games in a week for Joel Matip might be too much. So I think perhaps he played tonight with a view to not playing at the weekend.
I thought Costas going forward tonight, Chris, was sublime, and his delivery is just so good.
I mean, I saw some shouts on Twitter that saying his delivery was better than Trent's, which was something that I was like, consistency-wise. I mean, if he does it over a period of a few years, then maybe. But yeah, I thought he was excellent. The usual sort of bustling performance, never stops running. Amazing attitude for a player who doesn't get enough football as he deserves. Really, he's just fantastic. And I think he's as we mentioned on the stream with you yesterday, Craig. I just think you'll go far to say that if he wasn't playing when Andy Robertson was playing, he'd be one of the first names on the team sheet. He'd be one of the best players in the team. So yeah, a really great performance, and just sad for him really that he's got Andy Robertson in front of him.
True. I mean, Canada will want to be playing Benfica every week now, Steve. Almost a carbon copy of the goal over in Portugal.
Yeah, he's a good player, isn't he, Canate? I really like him, and I think he grows a little bit when he's got Van Dijk alongside him as well. I think he needs that. He needs that sort of guiding hand next to him, because he's still a kid, really, isn't he? He's still, what is he, 22, 23? It's no age for a centre half, is it? So, once he learns a little bit, he's got an error in him, hasn't he? Still, we saw last week in Benfica, he's got the odd little aberration in him, but I think alongside Van Dijk, I think he's probably not too far away from making a claim to be first choice alongside Van Dijk. I wouldn't have thought. It's just he keeps cropping up in big games, doesn't he? And he's not lost in the Liverpool shirt yet. That's not coincidence or fortune, is it? He actually does the job every time he plays. So. Yeah, I don't think he's too far away. He'll definitely want to play them every week. He's a beast in the air, isn't he? Just absolute monster in the air. And good start again tonight.
Chris, I promised you a Bobby Firmino goal, did I not? In the preview before the game?
You did, and you doubled your money. Yeah, they just hit different, don't they, Bobby goals? Both of which require great positioning. I honestly... I question the Benfica defence on both of them, especially the second goal. I mean, what Jan Vertonghen was doing.
It's Otamendi at Vertonghen. I mean,
I don't quite know.
Easy to question that too, isn't it?
Great late run, though, from Bobby for his second from the free kick. Great timing.
Yeah, well, and even then, what on earth was that defensive line, and what on earth was that marking in the free kick? It was pretty shocking. And even with Konate's goal, like Konate was on his way down when he headed that ball. There should have been a Benfica defender clearing it. But yeah, I'm just Bobby goals hit different, double figures yet again for him. He hasn't had his greatest season. He's fallen down the pecking order for obvious reasons, but he's still popping out with big goals, and that's what we love about Bobby Firmino.
Steve, that Darwin Núñez is a player, isn't he?
I really like him. I tweeted last week, and I think the same thing applies tonight. He's a lone spell in League One away from being a really good player. He needs toughening up, doesn't he? He needs to learn to stay on his feet. He needs a bit of muscle on him, because he goes down way too easily. But in terms of his talent, though, I think he's really good. And he's a baby, isn't he? And he's going to score buckets loads of goals at Benfica. Someone's going to pay a ridiculous amount of money for him, and I think I don't know really if it would be us, but someone's going to pay a lot of money for him. I think he'll be a really good player. I really like him, but he's a bit too lightweight for me at the moment. Like he's easy to muscle off the ball. I think Konate in the first half bumped him off one, and the same thing in Benfica. Over in Portugal, he was down on his backside half the time in that game, wasn't he? We saw the one, when he turned inside Van Dijk and then just fell over when he placed a hand on his chest. So he's a bit to learn, but he's only 21, 22. He's massive potential.
He's Uruguayan, Ava. He's Uruguayan. So, yeah, he will be hardened up very soon, I would imagine, by his teammates at Uruguay. Yeah, Chris, look, somebody in our chat said to me that there was shades of a Fernando Torres off Núñez, and I kind of see it. Like, he's not the finished product yet, but I can see that potential to be a Torres-esque style player if he's a bit more strong, like Steve said, if he bulks up a little bit, maybe.
Even when Torres came to Liverpool, he seemed like he was this little lad, but he was actually this brooding 6'2" Spaniard who honestly knocked so many defenders off the ball. He was big, he's strong, great in the air. I think Núñez has got all the raw capabilities. I just don't think he's quite ready for that real big step and to be the main man at a big club. Probably maybe 1 or 2 more years in Portugal. I think that'll do him the best, to be honest. And we've talked about the 113 million price tag. Hello. I've talked about the 113 million price tag. It won't be that. But, look, a couple of years' time, who knows?
We have to talk about the other semi-final as well, gents. Real Madrid, Manchester City. I don't know if you guys caught the end of the City game today, but Simeone is just a cancer on football. He really is just a clown.
I was sort of nipping over it, occasionally to watch little bits of it. They were trying their best to get stuck into Phil Foden. He had a whack on his head in the first half, didn't he? And they did not like Jack Grealish for one reason or another. I'm actually really pleased that City knocked them out, because I don't want anything to do with them in the Champions League. They're just a horrible team. On the plus side for Liverpool, it looks like a few City players got knocks. Kyle Walker went off with injury, didn't he? Kevin De Bruyne went off with injury. Phil Foden obviously got one in the head. Edison towards the end had a bad shoulder. It was a really good point actually on one of the BBC Football Daily podcasts. Micah Richards was talking about this exact thing. He said, football-wise, City will deal with it easily, but Atletico are not the team you want when you've got a really busy running, because they'll work you really hard and they'll make it physical and make it nasty, and that's exactly what what happened, isn't it? And City actually probably in the end were lucky not to go to extra time, because Madrid had a couple of really good chances towards the end. But yeah, that's what we want, though, isn't it? A nice bit of work for City ahead of Sunday and ahead of all the games coming up.
For you, Chris, who would you make favourites for that semi-final at the top side of the draw? I think, if I'm right in saying, the second leg will be at the Bernabeu. Is that right?
If I'm being honest, I have absolutely no idea. I'll have a look for you.
Which way around is our game?
We're away.
We're at home. We're at home first.
Home first.
We're at the Madrigal for the second one.
Yeah, you love saying Madrigal.
I love saying Madrigal, yeah.
Man City v Real Madrid is Man City are at home first.
So does that maybe just tilt it a little bit in favour of Real Madrid, or what are we saying, gents? It's a tough one.
Real Madrid for me, purely on the European Nelson experience. I still think Man City are probably the better team, but at the Bernabeu, even though Chelsea won, I just think, and Benzema in the form that he's in, I'll just edge towards Real Madrid. But it's 51-49, maybe even 50.1 to 49.9, because they're both so well evenly matched.
I think City will walk through them, to be honest with you.
I'm petrified of the Liverpool City final, Steve. I can't be doing with it, mate. I can't.
I'm absolutely the same. I'm petrified of everything at the moment. I can't get. I don't know if it's our generation of Liverpool supporters. We're so used to disappointment, right? That I'm predisposed to expect the worst, even when it's going so well. And I was trying to get my head around the idea of, like, imagine losing in the Champions League final, losing in the FA Cup semi-final, coming second in the league. Like, whether I could cope with that season and still kind of see it as being quite a good season. I'm still quite torn over it, but yeah, let's hope it doesn't happen. I can't handle it.
And for us, Chris, I'm expecting a difficult set of games. I'm not expecting high scoring set of games against Villarreal by any stretch of the imagination, mate. I think they will come and try and stifle as best they can at Anfield, maybe try and hit us on the counter. They're a very well drilled team by a very, very experienced coach in Europe. And I definitely think it's no gimme, mate. But, how are we seeing our semi-final?
It's certainly no gimme. If you're a team that can beat Juventus and Bayern Munich in the way that they did, then clearly they've got a lot going for them. I just think this team, as I said about Real Madrid earlier, the vast nucleus of this team has got experience in Europe now, whereas Villarreal have got basically the complete opposite. I think Raul Albiol is probably their biggest exponent of experience, but I just think Albi Moreno. Well, we all know what his experience. I think he's injured, isn't he?
He's did his knee again, hasn't he?
That's a blessing for them if he is, to be fair.
Yeah. To be fair, advantage Villarreal, to be honest. But yeah, no, we should have far too much for them, really. And I know I'm always wrong, so I should say Villarreal win. But yeah, no, Liverpool should win. I'd back us against anyone, even if it was Bayern Munich, even if it was Man City, even if it was maybe if it wasn't Real Madrid. But that all of those games, I just think we have to understand how good this team is and how good this squad is that it's able to cope with all of these pressurized situations.
Am I wrong, Steve, in trying to justify in my head possibly losing the City on Saturday, meaning the laws of probability mean we could win the Champions League final? I'm trying to rationalise this.
I wish it was that easy.
I
wish it was that easy that Pep and Jurgen maybe had some sort of deal where like we'd win 2 trophies, they win 2 trophies, and we all walk away happy. I don't know. I don't know. It could be so glorious and it could be so disappointing. I don't know. I just don't know. But yeah, look, in a one-off game, we can beat anyone, can't we? So, there's absolutely no reason to think we can't beat them on the weekend. It's Saturday or Sunday, isn't it?
Is it Sunday? Oh, Saturday.
No, it's Saturday. Saturday 4 o'clock.
Saturday 3:30, I think, isn't it?
Sorry, Saturday. No reason to think we can't do them on Saturday or Sunday. And then a Champions League final where they haven't quite got over the line in that competition before, and I think that counts for a lot. We've got some big game players, but I mean so have they. It's a 50. Every time we play City, it's a 50-50 game, isn't it? Home or away, neutral venue, whatever. Yeah, they're such a good team, as are we. But
who would you prefer to play, lads? City or Real? Who do you think there's better chance?
Real Madrid every time, purely because the pain of losing would be less. That's it. That's the only reason.
Every single time, yeah.
I'd love it for Mo if we played Real Madrid as well. I'd love Mo to get that opportunity for a bit of payback.
I don't think Madrid are that good a side. Like they scored 2 quick-fire goals away at Chelsea, and then the one that Chelsea gifted them. And last night, Chelsea should have put it to bed. They were 3 up and absolutely coasting. And then they'll be really gutted they chucked that one away because I think Chelsea at their very best over 2 legs could have given City a really decent game, and I think they'll be absolutely kicking themselves for last night because they climbed Everest and then they sort of fell off the other side, didn't they? It was painful. Great game though. I mean, what a game! Like Chris said, Benzema and Vinicius have got a moment in the minute. Against anyone, haven't they? They could easily, combine and score a couple against City because they're that good. And Modric, I mean, that pass it should be hung in an art gallery. That pass, it was just
beautiful, wasn't it?
Unbelievable. Like he plays with a force field. It's a little bit Thiago-ish, isn't it? Those players, they play with like force fields around them, like no one can get near them. And he's 36, and he's got young lads like Reece James and Mason Mount and Kovacic and all these guys buzzing around him, and he's still just got 4D vision. Like he just sees everything. He can has so much time on the ball.
Well.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. They're so good.
No slouch either in there.
And they all got Camavinga come on as well. Camavinga was really good, wasn't he, last night? They got a chance against City, but I would expect City to beat them.
I think, Chris, if we look at Saturday or the semi-final coming up against City, both managers will certainly feel differently about it because there'll be some recovery session for those Manchester City players after this. At least Kloppo got to rotate as much as he did, which surprised me, Chris. There was a lot of people upset about the team selection. I think it was brilliant. I think it was the only chance Klopp would get to do it. If you look at the fixtures, right, City, then we've got United, then we've got Everton, then we've got Champions League semi-final first leg, and then we've got a 12:30 Newcastle. This is the only chance you probably get.
Exactly that. And that Newcastle away game's a 12:30 game. Like it's going to be really tough going to the St James's Park there. United and Everton, it's at Anfield. I do think he'll change within those 2 games, but there's still 2 massive games. So tonight with a 3-1 cushion, a 2-goal cushion ahead of Benfica, that was definitely the best time to rotate. It really doesn't surprise me as team selection. In fact, I think he was a little bit I didn't expect to see Naby Keita tonight, to be honest. I thought it'd be Harvey Elliott or Curtis Jones. So yeah, I'd say he maybe under-rotated in comparison to what I thought he would do.
There was a comment from Joanne which I wanted to bring up because I noticed it as well. I don't know if you guys seen it, but Salah had some taping you could see through, back of his shoulder, back of his neck, something like that, some black tape, which is usually there to try and help with an injury or a strain. Did anybody have any info on that, or did you guys see it?
No, I mean, I think there's a lot of tape goes on underneath shorts and underneath shirts. I'd be surprised if it was a problem. I think it's the sort of game, like Chris says, with the rotation. If it was any sort of problem, I'm sure he wouldn't have even been anywhere near the pitch tonight. So yeah, I'd be surprised. I Craig, that I do a lot of work at Sale Sharks, and you watch them train. They've got that kinetic tape or whatever it's called all over them every day. These guys are just covered in this tape to hold them together, particularly at this point of the season. So I wouldn't worry too much.
Chris, Salah didn't get his goal tonight, but he played with a smile on his face when he came on, which I really loved seeing.
Oh yeah, I thought he looked like back to confidence again. I think I don't buy into this sort of he's finished, he's done, because we all know that that's not true. It's just people trying to bait you, and people trying to bait everyone, into saying all of this stuff. Mo Salah's still the top goal scorer in the Premier League this season. He's still got, I can't even count how many goals he's got this season, 27, 28 goals. Like he's quality. And to see him back playing with a bit of confidence, as soon as that scrappy goal goes in, he'll be back to himself again. I'm sure about that. And it'll be very useful in the run-in to have a fit and firing Mo Salah to unleash on all of these like top quality level opponents. So yeah, it was good to see.
Steve, we touched on something a minute ago, and I want to bring it back up again. Chris said we're in another Champions League semi-final, and we've almost become expectant of these type of things under Jurgen Klopp. We should take a breather, mate, and take a minute to just realize what we're seeing, like how fortunate we are to see this generation.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it was. I can remember. Somebody will correct me, but we had a little spell out, didn't we, in the Champions League? And I think we came back into it probably 14, 15 or something. It was like Balotelli, Ricky Lambert type time.
The Ludogorets season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and since then it's been pretty constant. But that's not that long ago. We're only looking at 7, 8 years ago, and before that it was a really lean spell where we weren't really involved that often. So, and then it's another step, isn't it? From being involved to then, take this as being the norm, and actually, probably. I mean, everyone's having a go at us. There was a lot of United fans, particularly last night, weren't they, having a go for, the route to the final and, Villarreal in the semi-finals. But, you wouldn't have said that when it came to that group stage. Atletico Madrid, AC Milan, Porto, and we won every single game. It's not
our fault that Villarreal knocked out Benfica or Bayern Munich either, because people wouldn't have been saying it was if Bayern were there.
It's rare time. I mean, this is not usual, and I know a lot. I don't know if a lot of younger fans tune in. A lot of late teens, early 20s. This is not normal. This is not normal. I'm 41 now, and we've had some pretty lean times in my 20s. So this is not normal, and it's pretty amazing. Yeah, pretty incredible.
Good opportunity here, Chris, for Klopp to have gotten us to 3 Champions League finals, man. 3. That is just mental. It's mental.
It is. And I think it won't be overlooked when it comes to him leaving the club. I mean, if you look at Bob Paisley, Bill Shankly, our greatest managers, they got us to, I can't tell you, did Paisley win 3 European Cups? Shankly didn't win any. But then, 77, 78, 81. Those are the 3 that he won. Then Joe Fagan won in 84, and then Rafa in 05. So I think this will equal the amount of European Cup finals that any Liverpool manager has got to, which is quite an unbelievable feat.
It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. And again, this group of players, Steve, they always learn. So they come back from heartache, they answer. And last season was a great example. We just about dragged ourselves over the line via Alisson Becker's beautiful head to get ourselves a Champions League spot. And this season, we're in April, deep in April, and every competition we could possibly be vying for, we're right there.
It's amazing, isn't it? And this is why I was having this argument with myself about whether whatever happens from this point on, it's a good season. Because you could argue that, couldn't you? You could argue that just being in with a chance, a really big chance of winning everything on the 13th of April is already by definition a good season, because we haven't to juggle all these balls like we've been doing all year, and the way they're still playing, I just think it's a phenomenal team, and like you say, to come back from what happened last year, and all the abuse we all took last year about being the worst champions, this, that, and the other, and to prove that it was such an aberration. Last year was the odd one out in the last 5 or 6, and it is incredible, and who knows what they could achieve. A mate of mine just sent me a screenshot actually of a bet: Liverpool to win Premier League, FA Cup, and Champions League, and Everton to get relegated is 50-1. Reckon that's worth a couple of quid.
I think the Everton part might be the part that lets them down. I think they'll stay up.
I would take that, because I don't want Everton to go down. I'm quite happy for them to be absolutely terrible, but I like having derbies in the season, so I don't want them to go down.
I think
I'm
I'm
just
the
happy
same
with them being terrible.
I think for the city as well, I want them to stay up for the city.
We can have one season without derbies just to see them rot in the Championship. Come on, boys.
They're not coming back if they go down.
Do you not think they'll be fine?
No.
Let me read this out to you, gents. Fabinho, Van Dijk, Thiago, Mane, Salah, Chamberlain, Jones, Robbo, Divock, Quivin Kelleher, Trent, Harvey Elliott. And that's the bench. That's the bench tonight, gentlemen. That is scandalously good. Because that 11 that we put out tonight would do all right in the Premier League,
I suspect that bench would have beaten the team that were on the pitch to start with.
Maybe because there's one more player.
I think you made this point before, Steve. This is one signing of Luis Diaz, and all of a sudden our squad just looks completely different.
Totally changed the perspective, hasn't it? It's totally changed everything, and everyone being fit has obviously helped as well at the same time. But that Luis Diaz one has just completely altered the perception of the depth of the squad, because everyone was always banging on about, well, if so and so is injured, if so and so is injured, then we really miss out. And it'd still be the case if some Van Dijk was out for a period of time, like last year. But you could easily lose, worst case, lose Mo Salah for 2 or 3 months, and you'd be pretty happy with what you had, wouldn't you?
And that's without Taki. Taki didn't even make the bench today.
Yeah.
And that's Craig Houlden coming through as well. It's
Tyler Morton, another one who impressed at the start of this season.
Yeah,
not even mentioned. It's quite phenomenal, to be honest with you, and we can utilize this even more with 5 subs coming in. We can bring these players, we can keep them fit. It's just looking Millhouse, to be honest, boys. It's all coming at Millhouse.
Those Benfica fans tonight, Steve, were great. Really enjoyed their night at Anfield.
They're a good side, aren't they? I mean, we've talked about Núñez, but he's not the only one. They've got a few, haven't they? Going forward, particularly, who look like they look like a really exciting team to watch. I know they're a bit off the pace in Portugal, aren't they? But to go to Ajax and win in the last round was that's no mean feat, and they look like they had a great time. So, like we said at the start, absolutely, everyone's a winner tonight, aren't they? We got the job done. The Benfica fans go home having had a great night. They'll be happy with their team. What does coming out Millhouse mean?
It's coming up Millhouse. Everything's coming up Millhouse.
I haven't got the foggiest idea what that means.
Millhouse does it in The Simpsons when he's on a roll of everything going well for him.
Everything's coming up Millhouse. Come on, Steve.
I can remember Millhouse.
I'm very disappointed in you, Steve. Connor's going to be crying.
I know who Millhouse is. I just don't remember ever hearing the phrase "coming out Millhouse."
Coming up Millhouse. Yeah, everything's coming up. It's like it's all going good. It's all going to be great.
Oh, yeah, sort of got the meaning, but yeah.
Right, gents, really quickly, push you both for a starting 11 prediction and a score prediction for the semi-final on Saturday or Sunday. We still haven't fully, almost certain it's Saturday.
It is Saturday.
So, Chris, let's go with you first. Give us a prediction for the starting 11 and a score prediction.
As Steve said, I don't think there'll be many changes from last game against Man City. God, there's too many games against these lot. I just can't stand it. I think we might see the NFT midfield, Craig, that you and Paddy were after, of Naby, Fabinho, and Thiago. Even though Naby did play 90 minutes, it might be Henderson then. And I think you can't not play Luis Diaz. He's so industrious. It'll run defenders ragged. I think it all depends as well on who's fit for City. I think we'll win 2-1. I'm more confident on Saturday than I was on Sunday last time out. So yeah, 2-1, and I think Diaz will start.
Steve, what about yourself?
Yeah, I think Canate for Matip and Diaz in for Jota from last weekend. Otherwise, as you were, the only other one is Henderson, Keita. But yeah, like Chris says, the fact that Keita played 90 and Henderson came off at that magic 55-60 when you're trying to rest someone moment, that gives you a pretty decent indication of what's happening. And score-wise, I just can't see. 90 minutes has failed to separate these two on 2 occasions so far, so I can't see any different. And I think penalties would not surprise me at all.
Please,
no.
Don't be saying that, because again, I'm thinking, Steve, the law of probability after beating Chelsea on penalties. I'm just thinking, oh no.
Extra time, Liverpool win. Okay.
There we go. We'll take that.
A 3-2 in extra time.
I'm trying to find a way to shoehorn in Bobby Firmino, by the way. So I'm thinking Fabinho, Thiago, Bobby ahead of them, and then Mane, Salah on the right, and Luis Diaz on the left. But then again, I always want to go attack-minded against City.
He did, though, didn't he? When we played City was it last season, at the start of last season, and all the front four were kind of firing, so he just was like, all right, well, we'll just give them all a go. And actually, for the first half hour, we were all over him, and they weren't expecting it. So you never know, but who knows what's going. Those teams are so evenly matched, aren't they? It is literally a toss of a coin every single time. But the flip side, the other thing is, I was saying to a mate, like, they're both also so good that if one team is just 1% off, they could get spanked 5-0 as well. It's that kind of silly situation, isn't it? So, yeah. I mean, who knows? Who knows where we're going with this?
Try and predict this game, innit? It's just impossible.
Yeah, one thing is for sure, it's going to be a belter end to the season for both City and Liverpool fans as the final month approaches us. Steve, thank you. Chris, thank you very much. Thank you also to our sponsor, Surfshark, link in the description below. Thank you to you guys for tuning in. Drop a like on the video, hit that subscribe button before you head off. I will be on Twitch tomorrow for the West Ham Lyon game. Looking forward to that one. And yeah, have yourselves a lovely evening. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Chris.